Today we are going to be looking at the topic, the power of resilience, building stronger young leaders by learning to lead through adversity. As an introductory, we are going to be looking at the story of J.K. Rowling's rejection concerning her novel, the Harry Potter series. She started writing this novel um, at the age of 25 in 1990, putting her work together, and she kept sending um, the material for publication. So each time she sent the material for publication, publishers, where several publishers were turning her down, with different, flaws and excuses, some of which some feel, well, the novel series is for children, it's too boring, it's too long. Some of the excuses were that, look, this is not going to be profitable. Um, they believe the wordings, it's not going to appeal, it's not going to be appealing to younger generation, and that it doesn't cut across ages. They believe the novel series, Harry Potter series, is not it's not going to be basically commercially viable. But she did not give up. She kept for all these excuses and rejection that she got, complaints that she got about uh, write-ups and all that, about this material. She kept working on every of the challenges, every of the issues that were raised. She kept working on it, and finally, in 1997, um, the series Harry Potter was published at the very first time in 1997. And as soon as it was published, it gained popularity, and it quickly became what everybody wanted to read. And the publisher that published it, was able to market it very well, and it became what everybody wants to read. And just within that year, it became a bestseller. So let's look at what we learn, what we can learn, from um, our being resilient, and achieving that success. As young leaders, what are the common challenges that young leaders face? You have imposter syndrome, which is downplaying one's accomplishment. There's you must have been able to accomplish or achieve certain things in life. There's no human being that's not been able to achieve something. But the issue is that we see, once we achieve something, we often commonize it. We often see those things as being simple. So those are some of the challenges that young leaders face. Once they achieve something, they feel, well, this is simple. That was why I was being able to achieve it. And now they when they meet with when young leaders meet with challenges, they overestimate the challenges, they overstate it, and they are always they magnify their mistakes. Also, fear of failure. Young leaders believe young leaders believe that you have to be perfect. You have to be perfect. Everything have to go smoothly. And this also comes from self doubt, past negative experience, the fear of past negative experience. You know, um, Again, lack of experience, of course, because whatever goal you are trying to achieve is a new one. This is a field that you have no experience. So the tendency that you are going to have that fear of, oh, I can't do this, the doubt that you are going to be successful as a young leader definitely is going to be there. And of course, the fear of rejection. Just, like Harry Potter was being rejected, several times. Young people tend to fear rejection, denial, and they feel, well, they're just going to tell me I can't do it. And, and that may just be the end. These are some of the challenges that young leaders face. So, what is resilience? Resilience is the ability to recover quickly and adapt to adversity. The ability to recover quickly, the ability to spring forth, even in the face of diverse challenges, the ability to keep pushing, the ability to consider every difficulty as a next step, as a next problem or next step to be conquered in order to move forward, to achieve that particular goal. The key features you are looking at here is that leaders have to have strong emotional strength. You need to build your emotional strength. The fact that you attempted something and failed does not mean you should be emotionally down. Because once your emotion is conquered, then once you're emotionally down, your emotion is conquered by a situation, then there's no moving forward. So young leaders have to be emotionally strong. Then mental toughness. You have to see the end from the beginning. You have to be able to appreciate the goal that you have set for yourself. You have to be able to embrace, the journey, knowing that, look, it may not be tough, it may not be easy to get there, but the fact that your heart is set on the goal, then definitely you are going to get there. Of course, we live in a changing environment. Things are changing, and the ability to adapt to changes in the environment is also, required for a leader to be resilient and also, to move forward. Their positive outlook. Now, no matter what the situation is, you must always stay positive. In as much as you've been able to identify the goal that you want to achieve, you embrace the success from the beginning. And of course, there may be challenges, but you must stay positive. You must believe that you are going to make it, and definitely it's going to happen. So why do we say resilience matters to young leaders? Young leaders face rapid changing environment. Now, if you look at the environment, things are changing rapidly. Things are changing rapidly. We are in the era of high volume of data. Data speaks to everything right now. So you should be able to to work with data proving information and all that. There's high expectation out there because things are changing faster. So there's high information, there's high expectation. Of course, there's uncertainty about career. You are trying to achieve something or pursuing a goal, and it looks as if, well, is this going to fly? Am I going to be the star that I want to become? There's also that curiosity there. Of course, the rationale behind all of this is ability to be able to handle setback, ability to be able to inspire others, and innovation, right? So let's say, how can we build resilience? Now, resilience can be built, following the reflective cycle. Let's look at the reflective cycle. Now, having attempted to achieve a particular goal, look at Harry Potter. He wrote a series. He worked on it, but he did not give up. She worked on it, but she did not give up. She probably sent it, to the first publisher, and she was turned down. Let's give an example. Say the first publisher says, "Oh, well, this is too long." Now, if, for instance, that is what you are trying to do. Say, for instance, Harry Potter sent in and they said this is too long. So, what is the step? How do you address that kind of challenge? Now, we say that going through the reflective cycle. Now you planning, how to handle that challenge. You identify the goal. What resources do you need? What support system do you need? Is this, for instance, you say this, she got a feedback that, oh, this is too long. Then she has to go back and look at it again. Okay, if they say this is too long, how can I achieve a more concise and, a more concise write-up on this particular aspect? How do I work on this particular material to make it, to still, reduce the volume and still be able to pass across the message I want to pass across, So that's an example. That's an example there. You go back, you look at the goal, and look at what are the resources that you have? What are the resources, do you need to have? What support system? If you need to, hire somebody, or, get a group, to brainstorm together in order to be able to achieve whatever, you are trying to achieve. Then the next stage of reflection is learn. You need to be open to criticism, self-criticism. You need to look at, what did you work upon? What worked? All of your attempts, or in trying to achieve a particular goal, what did you do? What step did you take that was able, to bring result? What step was it you took, that did not bring result? What did you discover about those steps? What did you discover about yourself? Well, you try to look at your internal strengths. What are the challenges that you actually face? Oh, do you need a new skill? This is the era of artificial intelligence. Do you need to brush up, on certain skill? Do you need to acquire certain skill? Do you need to employ certain measures and all of that? Do you need more time management? You look at all of those things, this surface the goal you are trying to achieve. And once you are able to identify that, then the next thing is you work on, on those things that you have been able to identify. You work on it to be sure that you are well equipped. Then you go ahead again. You are not going to give up on those goals. You go ahead again and apply, the lesson that you have learned. You apply the lesson learned. Now, you've been able to identify that you need more time. You need more resources. You need to communicate better. Right now, you apply those things. Now, in this application, now you want to make sure that now you can, for instance, if management of time, has been the issue, you have to make sure now, in attempting, in redoing, whatever you were trying to achieve, make sure that now your time is more managed. You make sure that resources are more managed. If it was an issue with stress management, now you are going to try to control yourself. You are going to try, some people, you work in an environment where you constantly work under pressure, or say, for instance, you're a customer service person. Of course, you cannot predict, the kind of customer you are going to be facing on a daily basis, or you manage data. Of course, you need several skills to ensure that, data, is presented, not just, with full information, but in such a way that you are going to be putting whoever you are going to be, reporting these data to, their understanding, their level of understanding, into perspective, such a way that you are going to be able to communicate to your audience. So you need to be able to identify, all of those things. Now, in those applications, now you are going to look, okay, is it better management now? Better management of time, management of resources, communicate. You've been able to communicate better. Then after attempting again, those objective, those goals, those, whatever you are trying to achieve, then you go back again and reflect over it, which is the last stage. Reflection, overall assessment again. You want to look at, did I grow stronger this time around? Did I achieve results? Did I get a better feedback? What feedback did you get? You want to measure from where you started from the previous result, to the result you've been able to achieve at this time. You want to look at what do I need to do to address, current challenges, or to do better in the future. In conclusion, resilience is a superpower. Facing failure, learning, and growing stronger. With resilience, you are always going to achieve success. Remember the quote that says, a smooth sea never made a skilled labor. The fact that, you go out there and you get the goal, does not mean that is always going to be the situation for everything you are trying to achieve in life. So you need to build that strength. You need to have that strong emotion. You need to have that confidence. You need to have that thick skin to always not give up on your, God-given goal, on whatever goal you have set up to achieve. Thank you.